Daesung stood in the white corridor of the colony ship, watching other volunteers say goodbye to their families. Mothers hugged sons. Wives kissed husbands. Children cried and promised to remember. He stood alone, holding a small bag with nothing important inside. Nobody came to see him off because nobody would miss him. He was 28 years old and had already accepted that his life would never matter. At school, teachers forgot his name. At work, supervisors looked past him when assigning important tasks. Even at the bar where he drank on Friday nights, the bartender never remembered his usual order. Daesung was the kind of person who existed in the background of other people's stories. The colony program offered him something different. 50 years of sleep, they said. When he woke up, he would help build a new world on a distant planet. Maybe there nobody would know he was forgettable. Maybe there he could start fresh. The pay was good too, enough to make it worth leaving Earth forever. Not that Earth would notice his absence. Volunteer 847. Please proceed to pod assignment, a robotic voice announced. Even the computer called him by a number instead of his name. Daesung walked down the corridor, his footsteps echoing on the metal floor. The ship was massive, built to carry 5,000 colonists in cryosleep. The Eternal Dawn, they called it. A stupid name, he thought. Dawn implied hope and new beginnings. He just wanted to disappear for a while. The technician who prepared his pod was a woman named Ji Woo. She smiled at him, but it was the professional smile she probably gave everyone. First time in cryosleep? She asked while attaching monitoring sensors to his chest. Yes, Daesung replied. Don't worry. It's like going to sleep and waking up a moment later. You won't feel the 50 years pass. She typed something on her tablet. What's your specialty? What will you do on the new colony? Maintenance, he said. Air systems, water recyclers, basic repairs.
Oh.
Her smile dimmed slightly. That's important work. He knew what that O meant. She had been hoping he was someone more interesting. An engineer, a doctor, a scientist. Not a maintenance tech who fixed toilets when they broke. Giwoo finished her checks and stepped back. All right, you're ready? Just lie down in the pod. The system will take care of everything else. Sleep well, Daesung climbed into the pod. The interior was white and sterile, barely wide enough for his body. A small screen above his face showed his vital signs. Heart rate 72, blood pressure normal, temperature 36.8 degrees. All the numbers that defined his existence reduced to cold data. Beginning cryosleep sequence, the computer announced. Cold mist filled the pod. Daesung felt his body temperature dropping, his heartbeat slowing. His last thought before darkness took him was simple and sad. Nobody would remember him while he slept. But then again, nobody remembered him while he was awake either. The universe, however, had other plans for the forgettable maintenance tech. 3 hours after the Eternal Dawn entered faster-than-light travel, space itself bent wrong. Scientists would later call it a quantum cascade anomaly, a tear in the fabric of reality that happened once every million years. The colony ship had the bad luck of flying directly into one. The ship's navigation systems screamed warnings. Emergency protocols engaged. The captain ordered all pods to maximum protection mode. But the anomaly was too strong, too sudden, too impossible to predict. Reality twisted around the Eternal Dawn, like paper crumpling in an angry fist. The ship broke apart. Pods scattered across uncharted space, like seeds thrown by a careless farmer. Some pods lost power immediately, their occupants dying in the frozen void. Others drifted for years before their backup systems failed. Only a handful survived. Daesung's pod was one of them. His pod tumbled through space. Power failing, backup systems kicking in, then failing again, then finding some last reserve of energy. The monitoring systems shut down to conserve power. Life support reduced to the absolute minimum. The pod became a coffin floating in the darkness. But a coffin that stubbornly refused to become a grave. Years passed. Decades. Centuries. The pod drifted through asteroid fields and past dead stars. It floated through regions of space where humanity had never traveled, where no human eye had ever looked. Solar winds pushed it. Gravity wells pulled it. Random chance guided it through the vast emptiness between galaxies. Inside, Dassault slept. His body was frozen in time, his cells preserved by technology he didn't understand. His dreams were gone. His thoughts were silent. He existed in a state between life and death, unaware that the world he left behind had moved on without him. On Earth, 50 years came and went. The colony program was declared a disaster after the Eternal Dawn disappeared. Families mourned. Memorials were built. Daesung's name was carved on a wall with the other lost volunteers, one name among thousands. His apartment was cleaned out. His few possessions were thrown away. The bar where he used to drink closed down. The company where he worked hired someone else to fix their air systems. Nobody remembered him. Just as he had expected. 100 years passed. Earth expanded further into space. New colonies thrived on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. Humanity met its first alien species, a peaceful race of traders from a nearby star system. Technology advanced. Culture changed. The disaster of the Eternal Dawn became a footnote in history books. 200 years passed. Earth was different now, almost unrecognizable. Flying cities, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence that could think and feel. The galaxy was opening up, and humanity was spreading fast and far. Nobody remembered the old colony ships anymore. Nobody remembered the volunteers who had died trying to reach distant stars. 300 years passed, and in the darkness of space, in a region so remote that even the most adventurous explorers had never visited, something found Daesung's pod. Red emergency lights began flashing. Systems that had been dormant for centuries suddenly came back online. The pod's computer, operating on the last fragments of backup power, began the wake-up sequence. Temperature increased. Frozen muscles began to thaw. A heart that had beaten once per hour suddenly accelerated to once per minute. Daesung's eyes opened. The first thing he saw was not the white ceiling of his pod. Instead, he saw a face looking down at him through the transparent cover. A face that was beautiful and terrible and completely impossible. Large eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Skin that glowed with soft purple light. Features that were almost human, but not quite. Like someone had reimagined humanity through the lens of divinity. The face smiled at him, and when it spoke, the words bypassed his ears entirely and appeared directly in his mind. Hello, Daesung. I have been searching for you for a very long time. The pod cover opened with a hiss of escaping air. Alarms screamed around him. His body felt wrong, stiff and weak from centuries of sleep. But none of that mattered, because the impossible alien being reached down and gently helped him sit up. My name is Hannah, she said. And you, forgotten one, are about to become the most important human who has ever lived. Daesung tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. He had not used his voice in 300 years. His muscles screamed as he moved. Everything hurt in ways he could not explain. But the pain meant he was alive. That was more than he had any right to expect. Hannah held his arm gently, supporting his weight. Her touch was warm and sent strange tingles through his skin. She guided him out of the pod and onto the floor of what remained of the Eternal Dawn. The ship was a graveyard. Walls had collapsed. Corridors were exposed to vacuum. Bodies of other colonists floated in sealed sections, frozen in death for centuries. Do not look at them, Hannah said softly inside his mind. Their journey ended long ago. Yours is just beginning. What happened? Daesung managed to croak out the words. Your ship was caught in a spatial anomaly 300 years ago. You drifted far from human space, farther than your people have ever traveled. I found you because I was searching. I have been searching for someone like you for a very long time, 300 years. The number was too big to understand. Everyone he knew was dead. Earth had moved on without him. He was a ghost from a forgotten era, waking up in a universe that had no place for him. He asked, Why were you searching for me? Hannah helped him walk through the damaged corridors. The gravity was wrong, fluctuating as the ship's systems failed. They reached an airlock where a strange vessel was attached to the Eternal Dawn. The vessel looked organic, like a living thing made of smooth purple metal that seemed to breathe. "Come," Hannah said. "Let me show you." They crossed into her ship, and the difference was immediate. The air was clean and filled with a faint scent like flowers. The walls were not metal, but something else, something that pulsed with soft light. Desong felt the ship around him. It's almost like it was aware of his presence. Hannah led him to a chamber where she gestured for him to sit. She touched a wall, and suddenly images appeared in the air between them. Images of a civilization beyond anything humanity had achieved. Cities that floated in clouds, libraries containing billions of books. People who looked like Hannah, beautiful and glowing, living in perfect harmony. "My people are called the Valens," she explained. "We are old, very old. We have watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. We have guided many species toward wisdom and peace, but we failed to guide ourselves." The images changed. Now Desong saw the same cities but empty. The libraries dark and abandoned. The people gone. "We became too perfect," Hannah continued. "Too specialized. Too similar to each other. We lost our ability to adapt and change. We are dying not from war or disease, but from our own success. There are only a few thousand of us left in the entire galaxy." "I don't understand," Daesun said. "What does this have to do with me?" Hannah turned to face him directly. Her eyes were sad and hopeful at the same time. "We discovered a possible solution. Ancient texts spoke of a bonding between species. One individual from a younger race who could merge with one of us, creating something new. A bridge between two peoples. A template for our survival. Want me to? Merge with you, not just with me. With all Valens, if the bonding succeeds, you would become the first hybrid. Your genetic code would provide the diversity we need to save our species. Your children would carry both human and Valen traits. A new generation that could thrive where we cannot." "Ow," Daesong laughed. It was a bitter sound. "You made a mistake. I'm nobody. I was a maintenance tech. I fixed broken toilets and air filters. I'm not special or important. There must be millions of better humans than me." Anna shook her head. "We tested millions. The bonding requires specific compatibility at the biological level. Your brain patterns, your genetic markers, your very essence resonates with our requirements. I searched for decades, scanning every human I could find. You are the only one. But I've been asleep for 300 years. "Yes, and that makes you even more valuable. You are untouched by the changes humanity has undergone. You are pure, in a sense. Original." Desong looked at his hands. They were shaking. This was insane. All of it. He had gone to sleep expecting to wake up and fix pipes on some colony world. Instead, he woke up 300 years later being told he was the key to saving an alien civilization. "What if I say no?" he asked quietly. Hannah's expression did not change, but he felt her sadness deepen. "Then I will return you to human space. I will help you find your people and adjust to this new time. I will ask nothing more of you. The bonding requires consent from both sides. It cannot be forced, and if I say yes, then you will change. The bonding will alter you at the cellular level. You will gain Valen abilities and lifespan. You will be able to interface with our technology. You will understand the universe in ways humans cannot. But you will also lose something of what you were. You will no longer be fully human." Desong stood up and walked to a wall that showed the outside space. Stars he did not recognize filled the view. He was already lost, already disconnected from everything he knew. What was one more change in a life that had never mattered anyway? "Can I think about it?" he asked. "Of course. Take as much time as you need." Over the following days, Hannah showed him more. She took him to a Valen city on a nearby planet. The place was beautiful and heartbreaking. Buildings that rose like crystals from the ground. Gardens that grew impossible plants. Art that moved and sang, but no people. just Hannah and Daesong walking through the ghost of a civilization. We were proud, Hannah said, as they stood in an empty plaza. We thought we had conquered all challenges. We lived for thousands of years each. We had no wars, no hunger, no suffering. We created perfect peace, and in that perfection, we forgot how to grow.
How many of you are left?
Daesong asked. Perhaps 3,000 across the entire galaxy. We do not die quickly, but we do not reproduce either. In another 1,000 years, we will be gone completely. Our cities will crumble. Our knowledge will be lost. Everything we built will turn to dust. Daesong felt something strange in his chest. Sympathy. Not just for Hannah, but for all her people. They had achieved everything humanity dreamed of, and it had killed them. There was a lesson in that, though he was not sure what it was. Tell me about the bonding, he said. What exactly would happen? Hannah explained in detail. The process would take several hours. His DNA would be rewritten. His brain would be expanded. His body would be transformed. It would be painful, but not dangerous if done correctly. When it was complete, he would be neither fully human nor fully Valen, but something new. And then what? Daesong asked. And we find the other surviving Valens. We show them that hope exists. We begin the process of creating a new generation. You would be the father of a hybrid species. Your children would carry the future of 2 civilizations. My children with you. Hannah nodded. Yes, the bonding is not just biological. It is emotional and spiritual as well. We would be connected in every way. Partners, mates, 2 beings joined as one. Yes. Daesong felt his face grow hot. He had never been good with relationships. The few dates he had gone on ended awkwardly. Women found him boring and forgettable. Now an alien queen was telling him they would be bound together forever. This is crazy, he said. Yes, Hannah agreed. But sometimes crazy is the only option left. They returned to her ship. Daesong spent a long time in the room she had given him, staring at the ceiling and thinking, he was nobody. He had always been nobody. But here, in this impossible situation, being nobody meant he had nothing to lose. No reputation to protect. No legacy to preserve. No expectations to meet. Maybe that was exactly what made him the right choice. He found Hannah in the ship's control center. She was connected to the systems somehow, her hands on panels that glowed at her touch. She looked up when he entered, and he saw hope and fear fighting in her expression. I need to know something first, Daesong said. Why me? Really, not the scientific explanation. Why do you want me specifically? Hannah was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. Because when I look at you, I see someone who understands loss. Someone who knows what it means to be forgotten. Someone who might understand what my people are feeling. And maybe because I am tired of being alone. It was the most honest thing anyone had ever said to him. Daesong made his choice. Before, Daesong could tell Hannah his decision. Alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Red lights flashed along the walls. The living vessel shuddered, like something had struck it hard. Hannah's eyes went wide with fear. They found us, she said.
How found us?
The Krell Dominion. We need to leave now. Hannah ran to the control center with Daesong following behind. Through the transparent walls of the ship, he saw something that made his blood freeze. Massive vessels were appearing in space around them. Ships that looked like weapons themselves, covered in armor and bristling with cannons. There were at least 20 of them, forming a perfect circle around Hannah's small ship. What do they want? Daesong asked. Our technology? Our knowledge. Everything we have. Hannah's hands moved rapidly over the glowing panels. The ship began to move, trying to find a gap in the blockade. The Krell are conquerors. They take what they want from weaker species. They learned about my search for a bonding partner and decided they want that power for themselves. A voice suddenly filled the ship. It spoke in a language Daesong did not know, but somehow he understood it. The ship was translating for him. Valen Vessel, this is Commander Taman of the Krell Dominion. Surrender yourself in the human. If you comply, we will be merciful. If you resist, we will take you by force. Hannah ignored the message and pushed the ship faster. They shot through a gap between two Krell vessels. Weapons fire lit up the space around them, bright beams that barely missed their ship. Hannah was an incredible pilot. She made the ship dance and spin in ways that should have been impossible, but there were too many enemies. More Krell ships appeared ahead of them, cutting off their escape. They were trapped. "I have an idea," Hannah said quickly. "But you must trust me completely." "What is it?" "We do the bonding now. Right now. If we succeed, you will gain access to Valen abilities immediately. You will be able to help me control the ship. Together, we might escape. But you said it takes hours." "The full bonding takes hours. But the initial connection can happen in minutes. It will be incomplete and dangerous, but it is our only chance." More weapons fire hammered their ship. The shields were failing. They did not have time for debate or doubt. "Do it," Daesung said. Hannah grabbed his hand and pulled him to a chamber at the center of the ship. The room was circular with a raised platform in the middle. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, pulsing with light. She made him lie down on the platform and positioned herself above him. "This will hurt," she warned, "but you must stay conscious. Focus on my voice. Focus on our connection." She placed both hands on his chest. Her skin began to glow brighter, and suddenly pain exploded through Daesung's entire body. It felt like every cell was being torn apart and rebuilt. His vision went white. He screamed, but no sound came out. Hannah's voice filled his mind. "Stay with me, Daesung. I am here. We are here together." He felt her presence in his thoughts, warm and comforting despite the agony. She was showing him things. Memories from her long life, the beauty of Valen civilization at its peak, the slow horror of watching her people fade away, the loneliness of searching the galaxy for someone who could help, the desperate hope when she finally found his sleeping pod, and he showed her his memories too. Though he had thought they were not worth sharing, his boring childhood, his forgettable school years, his meaningless jobs, but Hannah saw something in those memories that he never had. She saw resilience. She saw someone who kept going even when nothing good ever happened. She saw strength in surviving a life that had no meaning. The ship shook violently. Another hit from Krell weapons. They were running out of time. "Almost there," Hannah said. "Just a little more." Something clicked in Daesung's mind. Suddenly, he could feel the ship around him like it was part of his own body. He understood the controls instinctively. The living vessel responded to his thoughts the same way it responded to Hannah's. "Now," Hannah shouted, "help me fly." They stood up together. Daesung's body still hurt, but it was different now. Stronger, faster, more alive than he had ever felt. They ran back to the control center and both placed their hands on the panels. The ship exploded into motion. With two minds guiding it instead of one, the vessel moved like liquid lightning. They spun through a hail of weapons fire without being hit. They accelerated faster than the Krell ships could track. The blockade fell behind them as they pushed the ship to speeds that would have torn apart a human vessel. But Commander Taemin was not giving up easily. His flagship broke formation and chased after them. It was faster than the other Krell ships, specially designed for pursuit, and it was gaining. "He will catch us eventually," Hannah said. Her face was pale with exhaustion. The incomplete bonding had drained her strength. "I cannot maintain this speed much longer." Daesung looked at the pursuing ship on the display. Then he looked at Hannah. An idea formed in his mind, reckless and stupid, and maybe their only hope. "Can this ship do a faster-than-light jump?" he asked. "Yes, but we need time to calculate a safe route. If we jump blind, we could end up inside a star or a planet." "What if we don't jump? What if we just open a faster-than-light window and close it immediately?" Hannah understood what he was suggesting. That would create a massive energy wave. It would destroy anything nearby, including us. Our ship could survive it at point-blank range. The Krell ship could not. It was a crazy plan. But Daesung was getting used to crazy. "Let's do it." They worked together, their minds synchronized through the incomplete bonding. Hannah handled the technical calculations while Daesung focused on controlling the ship's flight path. They needed to time this perfectly. Too early, and the Krell would escape. Too late, and they would be destroyed themselves. Commander Taemin's ship closed the distance. Weapons charged. He was preparing to fire the killing shot. Now. Daesung and Hannah shouted together. Their ship opened a faster-than-light window directly in front of them and closed it a fraction of a second later. The resulting energy wave exploded outward like the birth of a star. It caught the Krell flagship in its full force. The massive warship was torn apart instantly, its armor and shields useless. Against such overwhelming power, the other Krell vessels that had been chasing them stopped immediately. They had just watched their commander and his elite flagship get obliterated. They were not interested in following their prey any further. Hannah and Daesung's ship continued flying until the Krell fleet was far behind. Only then did they stop and drift in empty space. Both of them collapsed onto the floor, exhausted beyond measure. "We did it," Hannah said weakly. "We survived." Daesung looked at his hands. They were still human-looking, but there was a faint glow beneath the skin now. The incomplete bonding had already started changing him. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we rest. Then we complete the bonding properly. And then we find my people and show them what we have accomplished together." She reached out and took his hand. Even through his exhaustion, Daesung felt the connection between them. It was strange and new, but also right somehow. He had spent his entire life alone, invisible to everyone around him. Now he was bonded to an alien queen who saw him more clearly than any human ever had. "Hannah," he said quietly, "thank you for finding me." "Thank you for saying yes," she replied. They sat together in the silence of space. Two beings from different worlds who had become something new. The nobody from Earth and the queen of a dying civilization. Partners now. Maybe even friends. The universe had taken everything from both of them. Their homes, their people, their old lives. But in losing everything, they had found each other. And maybe that was enough to start building something new. Somewhere far away. The surviving Krell ships reported back to their commanders. They described the impossible power they had witnessed. The human who could somehow control Valen technology, the two beings who fought like one mind in two bodies. The Krell Dominion began to realize they had underestimated this situation badly. And in the depths of space, other Valens received a signal from Hannah, a signal that contained a simple message. Hope exists. The bonding has begun. We are not doomed after all. For the first time in centuries, the ancient civilization dared to believe in a future. All because one forgotten human woke up at exactly the right time and chose to help someone who needed him. 3 days passed after the battle with the Krell. Hannah and Daesung drifted in empty space, while her ship slowly repaired itself, and they recovered from the incomplete bonding. During those 3 days, Daesung learned what it meant to be connected to another being. He could feel Hannah's emotions even when they were in different rooms. Her sadness was a weight on his chest. Her hope was a warm glow in his mind. And she could feel him too. There was no hiding anything anymore. No pretending. Everything he thought and felt was visible to her. At first it terrified him. Daesung had spent his whole life being invisible. Now someone could see all of him, even the parts he kept hidden. But slowly he realized it was not so bad. Hannah saw his fears and insecurities, yes, but she did not judge him for them. She accepted them as part of who he was. On the 3rd day, another Valen arrived. His name was Hyojin, and he was a warrior, one of the few remaining defenders of the Valen people. He boarded Hannah's ship with suspicion clear on his face. "This is the human?" Hyojin asked, looking at Daesung like he was examining broken equipment. "This is who you bonded with?" "Yes," Hannah said firmly. "He saved both our lives." "He looks weak, small. How can something so fragile be the answer to our survival?" Hyojin walked around Daesung in a circle. "I have fought Krell warriors who could tear him apart with their bare hands. I have seen species with natural armor and weapons. This human has nothing." Daesung felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his mouth shut. He knew how he looked to someone like Hyojin. Unimpressive, ordinary, forgettable. Strength is not just physical, Hannah said. You of all people should know that. Hyojin stopped his circling inside. Perhaps. But the bonding will change him fundamentally. Are you sure he understands what he is agreeing to? Are you sure he is not just following you blindly? I understand, Daesung finally spoke. I know what the bonding means. Do you? Hyojin stepped closer. Let me tell you what I have seen. A century ago, we tried this with another species. The bonding worked at first. The individual gained our abilities and lifespan. But within 10 years, they went mad. They could not handle the weight of Valen consciousness. Their mind broke under the strain of perceiving reality the way we do. Hyojin, that is enough, Hannah warned. Let him speak, Daesung said. I want to know the risks. Hyojin nodded with grudging respect. The bonding will expand your mind. You will be able to perceive dimensions of reality that humans normally cannot. You will feel the emotions of others like they are your own. You will understand mathematics and physics on a level that took our people millions of years to achieve, and all of that will flood into your human brain in a matter of hours. What happened to the other individual? Daesung asked. They begged us to reverse the process. When we could not, they ended their own life. The chamber fell silent. Hannah looked devastated. I did not know that story, she said quietly. Because our leaders buried it. They did not want to admit failure. Hyojin turned back to Daesung. I am not trying to scare you away. I am trying to make sure you understand the stakes. If the bonding succeeds, you become the template for saving our entire species. But if it fails, you will either die or wish you had. Daesung sat down on the floor. His mind was racing. He thought about the 300 years he had lost to cryosleep. He thought about his meaningless life on Earth. He thought about waking up in a universe that had moved on without him. And he thought about Hannah, who had searched for decades just to find him. Can I ask you something? He said to Hyojin. Why do you care if I do this or not? Because Hannah is our queen, one of the last of the royal bloodline. If the bonding fails and damages her, we lose one of our most important leaders. I need to know you are worth that risk. I am not worth any risk, Daesung said honestly. I am nobody. I have always been nobody. But maybe that is exactly what you need. Someone who has nothing to lose. Hyojin studied him for a long moment. Then something changed in his expression. You remind me of someone? A young Valen I knew many centuries ago. He thought he was worthless too. He became one of our greatest heroes. What happened to him? He died saving his entire city from a collapsing star. Sometimes the greats, T-warriors, are the ones who do not believe they are warriors at all. Hyojin placed a hand on Daesung's shoulder. If you do this, human, do it for the right reasons. Not because you think your life has no value, but because you see value in what you could become. After Hyojin left, Daesung spent hours walking through the ship. Hannah gave him space, sensing he needed time to think. The vessel was beautiful in ways he was still learning to appreciate. Every surface was alive and responsive. The walls showed images of space or memories or whatever the viewer needed to see. He found himself in a room that displayed the history of the Valen people, millions of years compressed into moving images. He watched their evolution from primitive beings to a civilization that spanned galaxies. He saw their art, their science, their philosophy. They had achieved everything humanity dreamed of achieving, and yet they were dying. Daesung.
Understood then.
What Hannah had tried to explain. Success could be a trap. Perfection could be poison. The Valens had become so advanced that they forgot how to struggle, how to adapt, how to change. They needed something raw and unrefined. They needed humanity's chaos. He found Hannah in her meditation chamber. She was floating in the air, surrounded by soft light, her eyes closed. She looked peaceful and sad at the same time. I am ready, Daesung said. Hannah opened her eyes and descended to the floor. Are you certain? There is still time to change your mind. I am certain. But I need you to promise me something. What? If the bonding starts to fail, if I start to go mad like that other person, you need to stop it immediately. Do not let me suffer just to save your species. Hannah looked hurt. I would never do that. Promise me. Your well-being matters more than the survival of the Valens. I swear it. Daesun believed her. Through their connection, he could feel her sincerity. Then let us begin. They went to the bonding chamber together. This time, they would complete the process properly, not in a rushed panic during battle. Hannah had prepared everything carefully. The room was filled with gentle light, and the air smelled like flowers from a world Daesun had never seen. Lie down, Hannah instructed gently. He lay on the platform in the center of the chamber. His heart was beating fast, but he was not afraid. Or maybe he was terrified but choosing to do this anyway. Sometimes bravery and fear were the same thing. Hannah positioned herself above him, her hands on his chest just like before. But this time her expression was different. This time there was love in her eyes. Not romantic love, not yet, but the love of someone who sees another person truly and completely. I will guide you through this, she said. Trust me. Trust yourself. Trust what we can become together. I trust you, Daesun replied. Hannah's skin began to glow. The light spread from her hands into his chest, flowing through his body like warm water. This time the pain was less sharp, more like a deep ache. His cells were being rewritten. His DNA was being transformed. His brain was expanding to accommodate new structures and pathways. Images flooded his mind. Not just Hannah's memories, but the accumulated knowledge of the entire Valen species. Mathematics that explained the fundamental nature of reality. Physics that revealed the hidden dimensions of space and time. Philosophy that had taken millions of years to develop. Art that existed in wavelengths humans could not normally perceive. It was overwhelming. Too much, too fast. Daesung felt his mind starting to crack under the weight of it all. Stay with me. Hannah's voice cut through the chaos. Focus on my voice. Focus on our connection. You do not need to understand everything at once. Just breathe. He focused on breathing, in and out, simple and human. In action, his body knew how to do without thinking. And slowly, the overwhelming flood of information began to sort itself into manageable pieces. His expanded brain started organizing the knowledge, filing it away, making it accessible without drowning him. Hours passed. The transformation continued. Daesung felt his body changing at the cellular level. His muscles became denser. His bones became stronger. His senses expanded to perceive things he had never imagined. He could feel the electromagnetic fields of the ship. He could hear the quantum fluctuations of space itself. He could see colors that had no name in any human language. And through it all, Hannah held him steady. Her presence in his mind was an anchor, keeping him grounded while everything else changed. When Daesung finally opened his eyes, the universe was different. Everything was sharper, clearer, more vibrant. He could see the energy flowing through the ship's walls. He could hear Hannah's heartbeat from across the room. He could feel the gravitational pull of distant stars. The transformation was complete. He sat up slowly. His body felt strange, like wearing clothes that fit perfectly but were made from unfamiliar material. Hannah was sitting nearby, watching him with exhausted relief.
How do you feel?
She asked. Daesung searched for the right words. Like I just learned to see after being blind my whole life. Everything is so much more than I thought it was. The expanded perception will be overwhelming at first, but you will learn to control it. You will learn to filter what you need and ignore what you do not. Hannah stood and helped him to his feet. Look at yourself. She gestured to a reflective surface. Daesung looked and barely recognized his reflection. He still looked human at first glance. Same face, same basic structure. But his eyes now had a faint luminescent quality like Hannah's. His skin seemed to glow from within. He looked healthier, stronger, more alive than he ever had before. I am different now, he said. Yes, you are the first human-Valen hybrid. You carry the potential of both species within you. Hannah touched his face gently. How does your mind feel? Are you stable? Daesun took inventory of his thoughts. The vast knowledge he had gained was still there, but it no longer felt crushing. It felt natural, like memories he had always possessed. I am okay. Better than okay. I think the bonding worked. Relief flooded through their connection. Hannah had been terrified he would suffer the same fate as the previous attempt. We should inform the other Valens. They need to see what we have accomplished. But before they could send any messages, the ship's alarms started screaming again. Something massive was approaching their location. Multiple somethings. Desong reached out with his new senses and felt them before the ship's sensors did. Krell vessels. Dozens of them this time. They sent an entire fleet, Hannah said, fear creeping into her voice. We cannot fight that many. Maybe we do not have to fight, Desong said. An idea was forming in his mind. Can you get me a communication channel to their commander? What are you planning? Trust me. Hannah opened a channel. A face appeared on the display. The man looked human, but with obvious mechanical modifications. Enhanced eyes, reinforced jaw, metal plating beneath the skin. This was Commander Taman, the same one whose flagship they had destroyed days ago. Apparently, he had survived. The human who plays with Valen toys, Taman said with a cold smile. I underestimated you once. I will not make that mistake again. You do not need to make any mistakes at all, Desong replied. Just leave us alone, Taman laughed. Leave you alone? You destroyed my ship. You humiliated me in front of my superiors? And you possess technology and knowledge that the Dominion wants. No, I think I will take you both and dissect you to learn your secrets. I am giving you one chance to turn around and leave, Desong said calmly. Take your fleet and go, or what? You will open another faster-than-light window? We have analyzed that trick. Our shields can now withstand it. You have nothing left to threaten us with. Desong felt power building in his chest. The bonding had given him access to abilities he was only beginning to understand. You are wrong. I have humanity. And humanity never learned how to accept defeat gracefully. He reached out with his mind. The ship responded instantly to his will. But he did not just control the ship now. He could feel the space around them, the fabric of reality itself. The Valen knowledge in his head showed him how to manipulate it, how to bend it, how to weaponize it. Last warning, Desong said. Leave now. Taman's smile faded. He saw something in Desong's eyes that worried him. All ships opened fire. The Krell fleet unleashed everything. Dozens of warships firing simultaneously, enough destructive force to obliterate a small moon. The weapons converged on Hannah's ship from every direction, and Desong stopped them all. He reached out with his expanded mind and froze the incoming projectiles in space. Missiles hung motionless in the void. Energy beams scattered harmlessly against invisible barriers. The entire Krell attack simply stopped, held in place by will alone. Commander Taman's face went pale. That is impossible. Nothing is impossible, Desong said. That is what humanity taught me. We are not the strongest, or the smartest, or the longest lived, but we are stubborn. We adapt, we survive. And now I am something more than human. He released his hold on the frozen weapons and sent them back toward the Krell fleet. Not to destroy them, but to send a message. The missiles and energy beams returned to sender, detonating against shields but not penetrating them. It was a warning shot. You cannot win this fight, Desong continued. Your technology is impressive, but it is still technology. It follows rules. I am beyond rules now. I can reshape space itself. I can manipulate gravity and energy. I can do things your scientists would not believe possible. You are bluffing, Taman said, but his voice was uncertain. Am I? Desong reached out again. This time he grabbed one of the Krell warships with invisible hands of force and flipped it upside down like a toy. The crew inside must have been experiencing chaos as their artificial gravity failed. Then he gently set the ship back upright and released it. I could have crushed that ship. I could have torn your entire fleet apart. But I do not want to kill you. I just want you to leave. Silence filled the communication channel. Taman was weighing his options. He was a military man who understood power dynamics. And right now, the power was clearly not on his side. This is not over, Taman finally said. The Dominion will send more ships. bigger fleets. We will find a way to defeat you, maybe Daesoon agreed. But by then, there will be more like me. The Valens will bond with other humans. We will create a new species that combines the best of both our peoples. And that species will not be easily conquered. Taemon's face twisted with anger and frustration. But he was professional enough to recognize defeat when he saw it. All ships withdraw. We are leaving. The Krell fleet turned and jumped away one by one. Within minutes, the space around Hannah's ship was empty again. Daesong let out a breath he did not know he was holding and nearly collapsed. Using those abilities had drained him completely. Hannah caught him and held him steady. That was incredible. I have never seen anyone master Valen powers so quickly. I had a good teacher, Daesong said with a weak smile. Over the following weeks, they traveled to gather the remaining Valens. Hyojin spread word of what had happened. The bonding had succeeded. Hope was real. One by one, the scattered survivors of the ancient civilization came to see the miracle for themselves. When the Valens saw Daesong, their reactions varied. Some were skeptical. Some were hopeful. Some were simply relieved that their long decline might finally end. But all of them recognized what he represented. A bridge between species. A template for survival. The beginning of something new. Hannah presented Daesong to her people formally. This is my bondmate. He was human once, but now he is more. He is the first of a new generation. With him, we can create offspring that carry both our strengths. We can build a future where our civilization does not fade into darkness. An elder Valen stepped forward. Her name was Sun He, and she had lived for over 5,000 years. I remember when we were young as a species. When we struggled and fought and changed constantly, I watched us grow peaceful and wise and stagnant. Perhaps this human brings back what we lost. I am not here to change you, Daesong said respectfully. I am here to learn from you. To combine what humanity has with what the Valens have. To create something that is greater than either species alone. Son, he smiled. You have wisdom beyond your years, young one. Perhaps there is hope for us after all. But even as the Valens began to believe in a future, Daesong felt something pulling at his mind. Through his expanded senses, he detected signals from far away. Human signals. Earth had survived the last 300 years. His people were still out there, thriving and spreading across the galaxy. I need to find them, he told Hannah. I need to see what happened to humanity while I slept. I know, Hannah said. We will go together. Your people deserve to know what you have become. And perhaps we can find other humans who are compatible for bonding. They set course for human space. The journey would take months, but they had time. Daesoon had gained the Valen lifespan, meaning he would live for thousands of years if nothing killed him first. It was a strange thought for someone who had expected to die forgotten and alone as they traveled. Daesoon often stood at the observation window, looking at the stars. He thought about the maintenance tech who had volunteered for cryosleep 300 years ago. That person felt like someone from another life. So small and insignificant and convinced he did not matter. But he had mattered. In the strangest, most impossible way, his boring and forgettable life had led him exactly where he needed to be. If he had been someone important on Earth, he never would have volunteered for cryosleep. If he had been someone remarkable, Hannah might never have chosen him. His very ordinariness had been the key to everything. What are you thinking about? Hannah asked, coming to stand beside him. About how I used to be nobody, Daesong said. And how being nobody saved his civilizations. You were never nobody, Hannah corrected gently. You just had not found your place yet. Now you have. She was right. He had found his place. Not as a human or as a Valen, but as something new. A bridge between worlds. The first of a new species. The template for a future that would combine the ancient wisdom of one civilization with the stubborn resilience of another. Somewhere ahead in the darkness of space, Earth awaited. Daesong wondered what he would find there. What humanity had become in 300 years. Whether they would accept what he had become. Whether they would see the opportunity he represented or fear the change. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, He stood with Hannah, looking at the stars, feeling more alive than he ever had. The nobody from Earth had become somebody. The forgotten maintenance tech had become the father of a new species. The man who slept through centuries had awakened to save civilizations, and somewhere in the universe, other lost souls were drifting in the darkness, waiting to be found, waiting to discover that their meaningless lives might actually mean everything, waiting to learn that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who never expected to be heroes at all. De Song smiled. His journey was just beginning.